internet is not something that you just dump something on. It's not a big truck. It's a series of tubes.
The late Senator Ted Stevens from Alaska, and his immortal description of what the internet really is. Despite sounding bizarre and spawning several viral parodies,
Why? Tubes. The internet is tubes.
Senator Stevens' description of what exactly the internet is wasn't really that far off at all.
Tangled up tubes.
The internet is, really, a series of tubes, or at least cables, hundreds of them, that stretch for over 500,000 miles underwater, connecting all the major continents to the web and to each other. So this is what the internet physically looks like. So how does the NSA go about physically tapping into it? Rewind back to 2001. The Wall Street Journal reports, in early 1989, the agency assembled a team of researchers in a small warren of labs at its headquarters in Fort Meade, Maryland. Their mission, according to one former NSA researcher who worked on it, was to find a way to get inside fiber optic cables and secretly siphon off the data moving through them. This included a fleet of specially equipped submarines deployed to dive to the sea floor and cut into the fiber optic cables. The Wall Street Journal adds, in an interview, Air Force Lieutenant General Michael Hayden, the NSA's director, laughed when asked whether the NSA had tapped undersea cables. "I'm not going to sit here and dissuade you from your views," he said, but he suggested that access isn't the problem. Rather, he said the sheer volume and variety of today's communications means there's simply too much out there and it's too hard to understand. Again, that was 12 years ago. Then, the AP reports after 9/11, President George W. Bush secretly authorized the NSA to plug into the fiber optic cables that enter and leave the United States, knowing it would give the government unprecedented, warrantless access to Americans' private conversations. Not only that, but also access to much of the world's conversations, since huge swaths of global internet traffic pass through cables coming in and out of the United States. In 2006, an AT&T whistleblower exposed the existence of NSA monitoring hardware installed at a key internet hub right here in San Francisco. But then the NSA ran into a problem. More and more of these undersea internet cables and hubs were being owned and managed not by U.S. companies, but by foreign companies. And so, as the Washington Post reported this weekend, the U.S. government made agreements with these foreign companies to ensure that when U.S. government agencies seek access to the massive amounts of data flowing through their networks, the companies have systems in place to provide it securely. One particular agreement with an Asian company called Global Crossing required the company to have a network operations center on U.S. soil that could be visited by government officials within 30 minutes of warning. Now, the point was clear: to keep an eye on the tubes and all the stuff coming out of the tubes, the phone conversations, the emails, everything. And Edward Snowden's leaks revealed the extent to which the NSA has done just that. Now, the latest leak exposes how the NSA tapped into Brazil's communications network to intercept and store email and phone records belonging to millions of Brazilians, a job that's made easier since 86% of Latin America's internet traffic is routed through the United States. Meanwhile, the rest of the world, in particular in the Middle East and Africa, relies on Europe to be its main hub for internet traffic. 87% of all outgoing Middle East internet traffic goes through Europe. And the NSA is heavily invested in that continent as well. Edward Snowden revealed British intelligence's ability to tap into and store huge volumes of data drawn from fiber optic cables. By May last year, 300 analysts from GCHQ and 250 from the NSA had been assigned to sift through the flood of data. A total of 850,000 NSA employees and U.S. private contractors with top-secret clearance had access to GCHQ databases. The documents reveal that by last year, GCHQ was handling 600 million telephone events each day, had tapped more than 200 fiber optic cables, and was able to process data from at least 46 of them at a time. Plus, Snowden's leaks obtained by Der Spiegel revealed that the NSA is collecting from Germany up to 20 million telephone calls and 10 million internet data exchanges daily. And the NSA is more active in Germany than in any other of the EU's 27 member states. The NSA is primarily interested in important internet hubs in southern and western Germany. Frankfurt, for example, plays an important role in the global internet infrastructure. Again, it's all about keeping an eye on the tubes. 99% of the world's intercontinental phone and internet communications travel through this network. But just how many tubes has the NSA tapped? That's a question that's still unanswered. But given what we've learned so far about the NSA's obsession with data, do you think they'd leave any of these tubes unchecked? In Washington, Sam Sachs, RT.